Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to have lecture number 14 of Fundamental of Web Development course, and we are currently covering the topic of cascading style sheets. This is second lecture on CSS, and we'll continue our journey of CSS. So today we are going to cover these elements: commands, colors, background images, borders, box model, text and icons, tables, and layout. Okay, starting from the comments, as you can see in CSS, we can use C-like multi-line comment. As you can see, / static, and it closes with / static with /. So you can have a single line or multi-line comments with these starting symbols. On the other hand, just to refresh your knowledge, that HTML has a different way of commenting, as you can see at the bottom highlighted line. If you want to do some commenting in HTML file, then this style is going to be used. But if you want to make some comments in a CSS file, then the upper style is going to be used. So there is a difference. Please keep this in mind. We are on slide number 4 about CSS colors. You already know that we have covered various schemes, coloring schemes in HTML tutorial, as these are RGB, HEGS, HSL, RGBA, HSLA. So all these schemes are covered at reasonable level, and so there is no need of repeating those colors. And we are going to see some those aspects of colors which were not covered in HTML tutorial. So let's see few of these. First of all, CSS background properties are used to add background effects for elements. And in these chapters, you will learn about following CSS background properties. So we are going to see some of these background properties which can be used on CSS elements. Keep in mind that as HTML body is also one of the element. So if you apply some background image on body element, then it is applied on the whole page, because everything within a body is visible on whole page. So, but we on any element we can apply these properties. For example, background color, background image, background repeat, background attachment, background position, and some simple shorthand property which is known as background. So we'll see some of these. So starting from background color. The background color property specifies the background color of an element. In case of body, it will be whole page, and you can set background color for any HTML element with this set text. For example, here we are using body. You may use H1, you may use div, you may use H2, you may use take any element. For once you will write background dash color colon, and you will specify the color followed by semicolon. The same background color is going to apply on that particular element. Any question on this slide? Actually, this syntax has already been covered in HTML tutorial as well, so it's not new. Let's see, we can define opacity in the colors. Opacity, or you may call it an inverse of transparency. The opacity property specifies the opacity or transparency for an element. It can take values from 0 to 1. तो 0 और 1 के दरमियान में हमने opacity specify करनी है. The lower value, the more transparent. तो जितनी वैल्यू कम होगी उतनी ट्रांसपेरेंसी ज़्यादा होगी. So you can see this is full highest value opacity 1, so there is no transparency. That is highest opacity. And here on the right side is opacity 0.1, so it is highest transparency and lowest opacity. Any question on this slide? So as you can see the syntax, we have applied this scheme on div element. We say background color green, and then in second property we set the opacity value for the green color. So we have set the opacity value 0.3 for green color. So this would be the result where you can see opacity 0.3. So I think it's simple. Okay, let's see some other variations. The background image property specifies an image to use as a background of an element. By default, image is repeated horizontally and vertically. So it covers the entire element. So if you want to control the repetition property, then we have three attributes. One is background repeat. If we say no repeat, then the default repetition mechanism will not be followed. And if we say repeat x, then only repetition will occur along the x-axis. And if we write background repeat y, then the repetition will occur along the y-axis towards downwards. And if we do not use any of these properties, then by default there will be repetition horizontally as well as vertically. So see the syntax. We are writing background dash image colon, and then we are specifying a GIF which is required to be set as a background. We provide the URL for the GIF, and then there is a semicolon. So I hope it is clear. Any question on this slide? जी मैं अपने आप से तो नहीं बातें कर रहा. आवाज आ रही है, स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है. एनी वॉलंटियर टू अप्लाई? स्क्रीन भी शेयर हो रही है. शुक्र है, कुछ बोल दिया करें बीच में, वरना लेक्चर के दौरान अंदाजा नहीं होता कोई लेक्चर बीच में डिस्कनेक्ट तो नहीं हो गया, आवाज जा रही है नहीं जा रही, क्या हो रहा. ओके, लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड. CSS background attachment. What happens in here? The background attachment property specifies whether the background image should scroll or to be fixed. That is, will not scroll with rest of the page. तो यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे स्टाइल के अंदर वी आर स्पेसिफाइंग background image to the body element, and we are providing some URL of the image, and then we are setting various properties for this image. We say background repeat, no repeat, so it will be a single image because there is no repetition. Then background position is right and towards the top. Then margin, right margin is 200 pixels. It means that margin towards the right is 200 pixels, this margin. From here to here, it is 200 pixels, and then background attachment is fixed. So how we want to attach it? Let's see its demo. It's an interesting demo. So can you see the browser? Yeah. So here you can see on the right the result of this style, that once I move, scroll my page, my image stays on top right corner. Move कर रहे हैं लेकिन image वहीं पे खड़ी है. So it is because we have done background attachment is equal to fix. And if I write it as scroll, if I write it as scroll, then this image is going to scroll with the text. So text के साथ scroll करना तो आम सी बात है, आपने देखा ही है. लेकिन अगर हम यहाँ पे इसको कर देते हैं फिक्स, कहाँ गया, कौन से ब्राउजर में खुल गया, ये है. तो इट इज़ फिक्स. दैट इज़ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग फंक्शनैलिटी. ओके, moving next. So I am covering those aspects which were not covered in HTML tutorial. Okay, CSS background shorthand property. So you can see on the top that we generally write the properties like this. There is a body block. This is body element, which is a selector, element selector. And within curly braces, we write various properties: background color, background image, and repeat, and anything else. But this all is equal to a shorthand background property. We just write background, then we specify color, space, URL image, then space, background repeat property, value of background repeat, and then background position, right top. So it is, we may use this shorthand style of cascading as well, but it is recommended to specify the expanded version, the upper one, so that the understanding of any reviewer would be much more enhanced. Okay, any question on this slide? So we move to the next property. Border styles. The CSS border properties allow you to specify the style, width and color of an element's border. इसको भी हमने कुछ ना कुछ एग्जांपल्स इसकी HTML ट्यूटोरियल में देखी हुई हैं. But here is the complete listing what all we can do with the border style. For example, we can specify the following values to border style, which specifies the kind of border to be displayed. For example, it can be dotted, it can be dashed, it can be solid, it can be double border, it can be grooved. जैसे आपने अगर पावर पॉइंट में देखा हो, ये तकरीबन इस तरह की प्रॉपर्टीज़ आप किसी भी फ्रेम के साथ यूज़ कर सकते हैं. डबल बॉर्डर, 3D grooved border, then 3D rigid border, 3D inset border, 3D outside border, then with no border, and we can also hide it. We define the hidden border. So border we can hide. Maybe we can use JavaScript to dynamically set this property to hide or show any element's border. Okay, so border style property can have from 1 to 4 values for top border, right border, bottom border and border left border and bottom border. तो आप ये वैल्यूज़ जो हैं आप किसी भी आप जो चारों उसके कॉर्नर्स हैं लेफ्ट राइट बॉटम हर एक के लिए स्पेसिफाई कर सकते हैं ये सारी प्रॉपर्टीज़. सो यू कैन सी हाउ पावरफुल इट इज़. किसी भी एक बॉर्डर को की पूरी प्रॉपर्टी स्पेसिफाई कर सकते हैं. टॉप बॉर्डर पकड़ लें तो टॉप के लिए स्पेसिफाई कर दें, राइट पकड़ लें राइट को कर लें, सबके लिए करना है सबके लिए कर लें. So this all is possible with CSS3. Let's see example. As you can see, we are setting property for para, which has a class with the name of 4. तो वो para जिसकी properties class जिसमें class 4 mention की गई है उसका स्टाइल डॉटेड होना चाहिए और बॉर्डर विड्थ होनी चाहिए थिक. सो यू कैन सी दैट दिस इज थिक बॉर्डर विड्थ. सो बेसिकली दिस border style is applicable for the bottom one. It is a dotted and its border width is thick, and similarly other values can also be specified. Okay, now on slide number 30. This is regarding border width property. So none of the CSS border properties will have any effect unless border style property is set. तो border style property पहले हमें set करनी पड़ेगी, only then we can apply border width property. तो border style में आपको बताना होगा किस तरह का border है, then you can apply its width. तो border width property उसके बाद different इसके attributes आ जाएंगे. For example, here you can see border width, none of border width. Sorry, ये slide ही एक extra आ गई है, ये मैंने कहा दूँगा. Border width property, it has already been covered here, so we can remove this slide. So this is नहीं. So here you can see, for example, here you can specify border width, border style, border color property. नहीं, मेरे ख्याल में क्या कर रहा हूँ मैं. मुझे भी रोज़ा लगना शुरू हो गया. Okay, so here you can see it is a shortened way of specifying border width. So we can also specify here in an expanded way, but we can also specify border width, border style, colored. So here you can see border width is 5 pixel, border style is solid, border color is red. Now if we do not specify border style, then border width and border color will not work. These will be meaningless because we have to first of all supply or provide border style property. Any question on this slide?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. Similarly, you can also specify rounded borders. For this, you are required to provide some radius. For example, there is a property border radius. If you will not specify the radius, then it will provide you a rectangular border. But if you specify border radius properties, for example, here border for this border radius is 5 pixel, and for this bottom one it is 8 pixel, and this is 12 पिक्सल. सो आप देखें बॉर्डर के साथ इसके जो राउंड है, राउंड की वैल्यू ज़्यादा होती जा रही है, ज़्यादा ज़्यादा राउंड होता जा रहा है. सो फॉर स्पेसिफाइंग राउंडेड rectangles you can use border radius property, and you have to specify the value of radius, and it is in pixels. Okay, now coming on to CSS box model. All HTML elements can be considered as boxes. कोई भी एलिमेंट है, चाहे आप H1 ले लें, H2 ले लें, div ले लें, span ले लें, कोई headings ले लें, P ले लें, paragraph ले लें, every border can be considered as boxed. तो कंटेंट जो है हमारा, अब होता क्या है कि कंटेंट जो होता है हमारा सबसे अंदर क्या होता है, वो कंटेंट होता है. कंटेंट और बॉर्डर, इसके दरमियान पैडिंग होती है. फिर बॉर्डर के बॉर्डर के बाहर मार्जिन होता है. बॉर्डर होगा, बॉर्डर की अपनी विड्थ हो सकती है, पैडिंग की अपनी विड्थ हो सकती है, और बॉर्डर से बाहर मार्जिन है, इसकी अपनी विड्थ हो सकती है. ठीक हो गया. तो ये सारी चीज़ें आप सेट कर सकते हैं. The CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around every HTML element. It consists of margins, borders, padding, and the actual content. The image below illustrates the box model. I hope this image is clear how we set the properties. अगर बॉर्डर और कंटेंट के दरमियान स्पेस बढ़ानी है तो आप क्या करेंगे, कौन सी चीज़ सेट करेंगे?
Padding.
पैडिंग करेंगे. ठीक हो गया. अगर आपने बॉर्डर और ऊपर वाला कंटेंट है या नीचे वाला कंटेंट है, इसके दरमियान में स्पेसिंग बढ़ानी है, तो फिर आप क्या करेंगे?
Margin.
मार्जिन्स. मार्जिन्स कर सकते हैं. मार्जिन बढ़ाएंगे तो ऊपर वाला जो एलिमेंट है और नीचे वाला एलिमेंट है उसके दरमियान में आपकी स्पेसिंग ज़्यादा हो जाएगी. तो फॉर एग्जांपल इफ वी टॉक अबाउट मार्जिन्स, यू कैन सेट margin on any side, top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left. You can set any of the value. All the margin properties can have the following values. Auto values हो सकती है, then browser is going to calculate the margin. Then you may specify length of the margin with any of these values, pixels, points, centimeters, etc. Then you can also specify these properties with percentage. Okay, so here negative values are also allowed. नेगेटिव वैल्यूज करेंगे तो वो मार्जिन से दूसरी तरफ जाना शुरू हो जाएगा। अगर फॉर एग्जांपल आप मार्जिन लेफ्ट नेगेटिव में करते हैं तो ये बॉर्डर से बाहर चीज़ें कटनी शुरू हो जाएंगी लेफ्ट साइड से। ठीक है, तो ये ऊपर लिंक दिया हुआ है, यू कैन डू सम एक्सपेरिमेंट्स एज यू फील लाइक। देन CSS padding, again as it was mentioned, it is supposed to be between content and the border. CSS padding properties are used to generate space around an element's content inside the defined border. तो border के अंदर की तरफ होगी ये। CSS has properties for specifying padding for each side, तो ये भी top, right, bottom कोई side भी ले सकते हैं। और negative values are not allowed in padding. Negative values are not allowed in the padding. Okay, then comes height and width property. For any block, we can set the height and width. As you can see here, you can see a div. Div की देखें height हमने set की हुई है 200 pixels and width is 50 meters, 50%. So it is 50% of the view plane and height is 200 pixels and it is fixed 200 pixels. और जब हमने कंटेंट लिखा div में तो जितने भी आ गया कंटेंट आ गया, बाकी एरिया आपका वैसे ही नज़र आ रहा है। So you can set height and width of any element. Okay, and here you can see another example that this is a div element on the right. This is div element on the right. It has a border, green border. So you can see border is 15 pixel. The thickness of border is 15 pixel. It is of solid style and its color is green. This you can see here. Then we have padding of 15 pixels. So you can see that content, where the distance between content and border is 50 pixels. Here it is 50, 50 pixel, 50 pixel. So on all the four sides it is 50 pixel padding. And height, width is adjusted, height is not adjusted. Width is fixed as 300 pixels and the background for element is light gray. So these all settings are there, as you can see. Okay, coming to next, CSS outline. Outline is another concept which we did not cover in HTML tutorial. An outline is a line drawn outside element's border. So this black one is the border, and on the outer side of the border you can see a green outline. CSS has following outline properties. कौन सी properties हैं? Outline style, outline color, outline width. So here you can see outline width of 20 pixels. So it is 20 pixel. Then outline offset and simply on outline. So the message of this slide is that on outer side of the border again you can do some sort of beautification of the element. Okay, some of properties I have left for your self-study, that is outline color, outline, what is the shorthand for the outline, and what is meant by offset of the outline. So please see these examples here. Okay, so Here we take a break for 15 minutes and then we'll move to next topic, that is CSS text. Let me stop the recording.